Serena Cole's sleek black car cut through the swirling snow, its headlights slicing through the storm. The billionaire's eyes fell on a tiny figure, trembling in the blizzard. Lily's bare feet sank into the ice, clutching her torn doll to her chest, snowflakes clinging to her lashes. Hours ago, spilled milk had already frozen into white stains on the porch, and her stepmother's venomous voice still haunted the air. In that moment, something Serena had buried for years stirred, an ache she could no longer ignore. The wind howled like a wounded beast, sweeping across the open field where Lily stood, her tiny body shivering under the weight of the night. The snow bit into her skin, slicing like glass against her bare feet. Her lips quivered, not just from the cold, but from fear. Every echo in the darkness felt like her stepmother's footsteps, every creak a cruel reminder of the slap that sent her tumbling out the door. She'd only spilled milk. Just a cup. Just a mistake. But to Vanessa, mistakes were sins, and Lily was the sinner. Before we begin, let me know where you're watching from. Leave your country name in the comments below. And if you love stories about courage, loyalty, and community, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories. The girl's cheeks were streaked with frozen tears. She pressed her doll, its button eye missing, its threadbare body soaked, to her heart. "It's my fault," she whispered to the toy. "I should have been more careful." The words floated into the wind and vanished, leaving only silence and the faint sound of her own heartbeat thudding in her ears. From the hill above, headlights pierced through the veil of snow. The black car moved slowly, cautiously, like a predator stalking through fog. Lily blinked through the flurries, unsure if it was real or just another mirage born from exhaustion. Inside, Serena Cole gripped the steering wheel with trembling fingers. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not tonight. Not in this forgotten corner of town. The charity gala had ended hours ago, yet something in her chest, a whisper she hadn't felt in years, had driven her down this deserted road. A flash of white caught her eye. A child. Alone? Serena slammed the brakes, her breath catching in her throat. "Oh my God!" Lily froze, uncertain. The car door opened, and a tall woman in a long wool coat stepped out, her heels sinking into the snow. Her presence carried warmth, even in the freezing dark. Serena knelt, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Sweetheart, are you alone?" she asked softly, voice trembling. Lily hesitated, her teeth chattered as she tried to answer. I didn't mean to make her angry," she stammered. "I'll be good next time." The words pierced Serena like a blade. Memories flooded back. Memories of her own childhood, of cold nights, harsh voices, promises never kept. She had built empires, survived storms, and worn crowns of gold. Yet here, before this shivering child, all of her wealth felt meaningless. Serena took off her coat and wrapped it around Lily's shoulders. "You don't have to go back there," she whispered, her voice trembling. Lily's small hands clutched the fabric. "But she'll be mad. She said if I leave—" A sound cut her off. Crunch. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Growing closer from the shadows. Serena's heart pounded. Her eyes darted toward the darkness beyond the road. Through the falling snow, a shape moved. A figure, tall and rigid, carrying something heavy in one hand. Lily gasped. "She's coming." The woman in the shadows paused, her silhouette lit faintly by the car's headlights. A glint of metal shimmered in her grasp, something cold and sharp. Serena's breath hitched, the storm howled louder, and for a heartbeat the world held its breath. Then Lily's voice, barely a whisper, broke the silence. She said no one would believe me. And in that instant, Serena knew this night was no accident. This was the moment everything would change. The storm deepened, swallowing the night in a frenzy of white. The wind roared, tossing Serena's hair into her face as she pulled Lily closer, her instinct stronger than fear. The little girl's small frame trembled against her chest, each shiver echoing the terror that had become her world. "Stay behind me," Serena whispered, her voice low but steady. Her eyes locked onto the silhouette approaching through the swirling snow. The figure's gait was slow, deliberate, each step crunching with purpose. "Lily." The voice tore through the blizzard, sharp and venomous. Lily stiffened, clutching Serena's coat tighter. "It's her," she whimpered. Serena's pulse quickened, her stepmother. Vanessa emerged from the darkness like a ghost in the storm, eyes wild, hair tangled, a flash of something metallic clutched in her hand. A broken belt buckle gleamed under the car's headlights, its jagged edge catching the light. "What are you doing with my child?" Vanessa snarled, stumbling slightly on the uneven ground. Her breath came out in ragged bursts, reeking of bitterness and rage. Serena straightened, shielding Lily behind her. "She was freezing to death," she said calmly, though her voice trembled with restrained fury. "You left her out here!" Vanessa scoffed, a sound filled with contempt. "You don't know anything about us. She needs discipline, not pity." "Discipline?" Serena's tone hardened. "You call this discipline?" She gestured toward Lily, her bare feet bleeding, her lips purple, her tiny hands clutching a doll torn beyond repair. Vanessa took a step closer. "Mind your own business, lady. You think your fancy car makes you some kind of savior? She's my responsibility." Lily's small voice broke through the storm. "Please, don't let her take me." Those words, pleading, desperate, tore open something. Inside, Serena that had long been sealed away, she saw herself, 10 years old again, huddled in a corner, praying someone, anyone, would hear her cry. But no one had come back then. Not for her. Not until it was too late. Serena's jaw clenched. "You're not taking her anywhere!" Vanessa's eyes narrowed, her expression twisting into something feral. "She's a liar, a troublemaker. You'll regret this when you see what she really is." But Serena had faced boardrooms full of wolves, men who would crush empires for profit. None of them frightened her like the look in Vanessa's eyes, because this wasn't greed. It was hatred, hatred for something innocent. The storm howled louder, as if nature itself refused to stay silent. Serena reached into her pocket with one hand, fumbling for her phone. "I'm calling the police!" Vanessa lunged. The motion was sudden, violent, a flash of metal, a scream. Serena stumbled back, pulling Lily with her, as Vanessa swung the broken buckle through the air. It missed by inches, slicing through Serena's coat. Lily cried out, "Stop!" The doll fell from her grasp, tumbling into the snow. Time slowed. The ragged toy landed face up, its button eyes staring toward the sky, a mute witness to the chaos. Serena grabbed Lily and ran, pushing through the snow toward the car. Her heels slipped, her breath ragged, but adrenaline kept her moving. Behind her, Vanessa screamed, a sound of fury, of loss, of something broken beyond repair. Serena yanked open the car door and shoved Lily inside. "Buckle up!" she gasped, slamming the door shut. Vanessa's footsteps thundered closer, her shadow stretching long across the snow. Serena slid into the driver's seat, her hands shaking as she turned the key. The engine roared to life, headlights cutting through the blizzard. Then, a voice, faint but trembling. "Please," Lily whispered. She said if I told anyone, she'd tell them I wasn't her real daughter." Serena froze. Her eyes widened as the pieces began to shift. "Not her real daughter?" she echoed, turning to look at Lily's tear-streaked face. Lily nodded, sobbing quietly. "She said I was just something she had to take care of, that I didn't belong anywhere." A lump formed in Serena's throat. "You belong with someone who loves you." she said softly. Someone who sees you. Outside, Vanessa's figure blurred by the snow, her screams swallowed by the wind. Serena pressed the accelerator, the car surging forward into the storm. The tires skidded, fighting for grip on the icy road, but Serena didn't stop. The headlights carved a path through the darkness, each flake of snow glittering like 1,000 tiny stars. Inside the warmth of the car, Lily clung to her seatbelt, still trembling. Serena reached over, gently taking the girl's hand. "You're safe now," she whispered. But even as she said it, doubt coiled in her stomach. She had interfered. Taken a child. Crossed a line that couldn't be unseen. And yet, how could she have done anything else? A distant memory surfaced, her mother's face, pale and cold under hospital lights. A promise whispered to a child who never stopped waiting for rescue. "I'll come back for you." Serena blinked, and for a moment she saw not just Lily, but herself. The storm raged around them, fierce and unrelenting. But somewhere ahead, faint and flickering, a light appeared. It glowed through the darkness, warm, golden, steady. Lily leaned forward, eyes wide. "What's that?" Serena followed her gaze. "A church," she murmured. "A place to rest." As they approached, the bell above the chapel tolled once, echoing across the frozen night. The sound carried a strange peace, an old, sacred promise lingering in the air. Serena parked near the steps and turned to Lily. "Let's get you warm," she said. But as she opened the door, a gust of wind swept through, and from behind them came a sound that froze her blood. A distant metallic clink, echoing through the snow. Lily's grip tightened on her hand. "She's not gone," the child whispered, voice trembling. "She never goes away." Serena turned toward the darkness, her heart pounding. The light from the church flickered, then steadied, casting their shadows long across the snow. Somewhere beyond the veil of white, something moved, watching, waiting. And for the first time in years, Serena realized this wasn't just about saving a child. It was about saving herself. The church doors groaned as Serena pushed them open, the hinges protesting against years of neglect. A wave of warm air met her face, carrying with it the faint scent of burning candles and old wood. Inside, shadows danced across stone walls as the storm raged outside, muffled now by thick stained glass. Lily clung to her hand, her small body trembling with cold and fear. Serena guided her toward a wooden pew near the altar, where flickering candles threw long beams of gold across the girl's pale face. "Sit here, sweetheart," Serena said softly, brushing the snow from Lily's hair. "You're safe?" Lily hesitated, her eyes darting nervously toward the door. "She'll find me. She always does." Serena knelt in front of her, holding the child's small hands in her own. "Not here. Not tonight." The little girl's lips trembled, but she didn't argue. She only clutched Serena's coat tighter, as if the fabric itself was a shield against the dark. Serena stood and walked to the altar, her heels echoing in the silence. She hadn't stepped into a church in years, not since her childhood, when she'd sat in a similar pew, waiting for answers that never came. She remembered praying, not for wealth or success, but for someone to choose her, for someone to say she mattered. Now, here she was, with a child who had whispered the same kind of fear she once carried. Her chest tightened. Behind her, Lily's soft voice broke the silence. "Do you believe in miracles?" Serena turned. The girl's wide eyes reflected the candlelight, her question innocent but weighted with desperation. Serena's throat tightened. "I used to," she admitted quietly. "Then life made me forget." Lily tilted her head, her gaze lowering to the doll in her lap. rescued from the snow before they entered the church. I pray sometimes, she whispered. But when nothing changes, I think maybe God doesn't hear me. Those words pierced Serena deeper than any accusation ever had. She walked back and sat beside Lily, her voice steady, though her heart trembled. Sometimes, prayers are answered in ways we don't expect. Sometimes, people become each other's miracles. Lily leaned against her, eyes fluttering as exhaustion weighed her down. For a moment, Serena simply held her, listening to the storm outside batter the stained glass. Then, a noise. A faint creak echoed from the far side of the church. Serena stiffened. She turned her head toward the sound, her senses sharp. At first, she thought it might have been the old building settling under the storm. But then came another noise. Deliberate, measured. Footsteps. Her heart pounded. She wrapped an arm protectively around Lily, her gaze sweeping the shadows. "Hello?" she called out, her voice carrying across the empty hall. No answer. Only the flicker of candlelight and the whisper of the storm. Then from the shadows near the confessional booth, an old man emerged, his figure stooped, his hair silver, his eyes weary, yet kind. He carried a lantern, its glow soft against the darkness. "Forgive me," he said gently, his voice like gravel softened by years. "I didn't mean to startle you. I heard the door." Serena exhaled, relief flooding her. "Are you the priest here?" The old man nodded slowly. "Father Matthews. And you?" "Serena," she replied, then glanced at Lily, who was half hidden in her coat. "This is Lily." The priest's gaze lingered on the child, his expression shifting. First surprise, then something unreadable. "Lily," he repeated softly, almost as if testing the name on his tongue. Lily ducked her head, clutching her doll tighter. Father Matthews set down the lantern and walked closer, his eyes full of something heavy. "I know that name," he murmured. "I remember a Lily." Serena frowned. "What do you mean?" The priest's hands trembled as he leaned against a pew. "Years ago, a baby was brought here, left at the steps during a storm not unlike this one. I baptized her myself before she was taken into foster care. Her name was Lily." Serena's breath caught. She turned to the child, whose wide eyes brimmed with confusion and fear. "Lily, did your stepmother ever tell you anything about where you came from?" The girl shook her head quickly. "She just said I didn't belong, that I was trouble from the start." Father Matthews sighed, his face etched with sorrow. "You belong, child, more than you know." He turned to Serena, his gaze piercing. "There are records here, old ones. I can show you." Serena's chest tightened. Was this just coincidence, or destiny weaving threads she couldn't see? Before she could answer, a sound split the silence, a loud bang against the church doors. Lily jumped, her cry muffled against Serena's coat. Father Matthews stiffened, his lantern rattling in his grip. The banging came again, louder this time. The storm outside roared with it, as if conspiring to smother every safe corner they'd found. And then a voice, muffled but sharp as glass, cut through the night. "Give her back to me, Vanessa." Lily whimpered, burying her face against Serena. Serena's pulse thundered in her ears. The storm, the secrets, the fear. It was all colliding here, under the watchful eyes of the church. She pulled Lily close, her eyes blazing with determination. For the first time in years, she wasn't running from her past. She was standing against it. And she would not let this child suffer, as she once had. Father Matthews raised the lantern higher, casting long shadows across the walls. "There are places to hide," he whispered urgently. "But the truth, her truth, cannot stay hidden much longer." The pounding at the doors grew violent. The wood rattled, the hinges straining. Lily clutched Serena's hand with desperate strength, whispering words that cut through the chaos. She said, "She's not my stepmother at all." The church fell into silence, except for the storm and the relentless pounding at the doors. The pounding at the door shook the wooden beams, echoing like thunder through the hollow church. Snow and wind spilled through the cracks, cold air slicing through the warmth of the candles. Lily pressed herself against Serena, eyes wide with terror, while Father Matthews set his lantern on the altar and reached for a heavy wooden cross that hung upon the wall. "She's not my stepmother," Lily whispered again, her voice trembling, small hands clutching at Serena's sleeve. "She said she just had to take me, that someone made her." Serena's heart thudded in her chest. "Made her?" she repeated softly, bending down so her eyes met Lily's. "Who, sweetheart? Who made her?" But the child only shook her head, tears brimming, lips pressed shut. "She said bad things would happen if I told." Before Serena could respond, the church doors slammed open with a violent crash. A gust of snowstorm burst inside, scattering candles and plunging the sanctuary into a flickering half-darkness. Vanessa stood in the doorway, her face ghostly in the glow of lightning, hair tangled and wild, her breath fogging the air like smoke. The broken belt buckle still hung from her hand, gleaming like a serpent's fang. "You can't take her!" Vanessa shrieked, her voice raw, desperate. "She's not yours!" Serena rose slowly, positioning herself between Vanessa and the girl. Her body shook, but her gaze was steady, eyes blazing like the storm itself. "And she's not yours either. You've hurt her, left her to die in the snow." Vanessa took a staggering step forward. "You don't understand. You think I wanted this? You think I chose it?" Her voice cracked, full of something beyond rage, grief, maybe, or guilt. "She's not what you think she is." Father Matthews stepped forward, holding the cross between them. "This is sacred ground," he said firmly. "You will not bring violence here." Vanessa's eyes flicked toward him, burning. "Stay out of this, old man. You don't know what's at stake." "Then tell us," Serena demanded, her voice cutting through the roar of the storm. "What is she to you?" For a heartbeat, Vanessa faltered. Her hand trembled, the metal buckle slipped slightly in her grasp. She was left with me," she choked. "Someone brought her, years ago, paid me to take her, to raise her." Serena's stomach turned. "Paid you?" Vanessa nodded, tears streaking her frozen cheeks. "I was told never to ask questions, just to keep her hidden. And if anyone ever came looking—" She stopped, voice breaking. "I was to get rid of her." Lily whimpered, burying her face in Serena's coat. Serena's mind raced. Hidden? Paid to take her? This wasn't simple cruelty. It was something darker, something deliberate. "Who gave her to you?" she demanded. But before Vanessa could answer, another sound echoed through the storm. Distant at first, then growing nearer. Sirens, flashing red and blue lights cut through the stained glass, painting the sanctuary in ghostly colors. Vanessa froze, panic flashing across her face. "No! No, they can't take her! You don't understand!" Serena stepped closer, voice calm but sharp as steel. "Then make me understand. Right now." Vanessa's breath hitched. "She's not supposed to exist," she whispered. "They said she died." The words hung in the air, heavy as stone. Serena's eyes widened. "What?" Vanessa's knees buckled, and she sank to the floor, sobbing. "I didn't know what to do. They said if anyone found out, I'd go to prison. That she was part of some adoption that never happened. The doors burst open again. This time uniformed officers stepped inside, flashlights slicing through the dark. "Hands where we can see them," one shouted, weapons raised. Vanessa dropped the buckle with a clatter, her arms shaking as she lifted them. "Please, I didn't mean to hurt her. I just didn't know how to love her." The officers moved quickly, separating the adults. One knelt by Serena and Lily, lowering his voice. Ma'am, are you and the child all right? Serena nodded slowly, though her mind spun with Vanessa's confession. She needs warmth, food, and a doctor, she said, her hand steadying Lily's trembling shoulder. Another officer approached Father Matthews. We got a call from a neighbor. Saw a woman chasing a child through the storm. Said there was screaming. Father Matthews gestured toward Vanessa. She's confessed to neglect and worse, but there's more to this story. Lily clutched Serena's hand tighter as an officer knelt beside her, offering a blanket. You're safe now, sweetheart, he said gently. But Lily only looked up at Serena. She said I'm not supposed to be alive, she whispered again, confusion and fear tangled in her voice. Serena brushed a tear from the girl's cheek. You are alive, she said firmly. And you matter. As Vanessa was led toward the door, she twisted around, her tear-streaked face illuminated by the storm's glow. If you want the truth, she called out hoarsely, look in the records, the church, the hospital. You'll see. She was never supposed to make it past that night. Then she was gone, swallowed by flashing lights and the blizzard beyond. Silence fell again, broken only by the crackle of candles and the hum of the storm. Serena sank onto the pew beside Lily, her mind racing. Never supposed to exist. Left during a storm. A child named Lily. Her gaze drifted toward Father Matthews. Show me the records, she said quietly. Now. He nodded gravely, retrieving an old key from around his neck. This way. They followed him through a narrow archway at the back of the sanctuary into a small room lined with shelves heavy with dust and time. He lit another candle, revealing rows of worn leather-bound ledgers. He pulled one free. Its cover cracked, pages yellowed. These are baptismal records, he explained. From 10 years ago. Lily watched, clutching her doll tightly as Father Matthews flipped through the pages. Then he stopped. There, he said softly, pointing. Serena leaned closer, her heart hammering. The faded ink spelled a name she recognized instantly. Lily Grace Cole. Her breath caught. Cole? She whispered, her voice trembling. That's my last name. Father Matthews looked at her in quiet awe. She was registered under it, brought here by a young woman, a relative perhaps, who vanished the next day. Serena's vision blurred as memories she'd buried began to rise. Her mother's last days, whispers of a child, a secret her family had sworn to forget. She looked down at Lily, whose eyes mirrored her own. No, Serena breathed, tears welling. It can't be. But deep in her heart, a truth long denied began to surface. She wasn't just saving a stranger. She was saving family. The candlelight flickered against the old pages, casting trembling shadows across Serena's hands. She traced the name. Again, Lily Grace Cole, as if her touch could confirm the impossible truth staring back at her. Her throat tightened, heart pounding like a drum trapped in her chest. Father Matthews stepped back, letting her absorb the revelation. I remember that night vividly, he said softly. The storm was merciless. The woman who brought her. She looked frightened, desperate. She wouldn't even give me her full name, only said the baby had to be kept safe, that someone was coming for her, someone dangerous. Serena's eyes lifted, shimmering in the candle's glow. A woman? She whispered. What did she look like? The priest hesitated, brow furrowed as he searched old memories. Dark hair. Eyes like yours, he murmured. She carried a scarf embroidered with lilies. When she placed the child in my arms, she said, Forgive me. I couldn't save them both. And then she was gone. Serena's breath hitched. Eyes like mine. The words cut deep. Her own mother, Amelia Cole, had vanished under mysterious circumstances a decade ago, right after Serena's near-fatal accident, when the world thought she'd lost her unborn child. But she hadn't been pregnant. At least, that's what everyone told her. She'd been unconscious, waking weeks later to whispers that a fire had destroyed the old family estate. Her mother had died, trying to save something, or someone. Her voice trembled. It can't be. My mother died that night. They said there were no survivors. Father Matthews closed the book, his expression grave. I cannot tell you what truly happened. But the truth has a way of finding its way back, no matter how deeply it's buried. Lily tugged gently at Serena's sleeve, eyes wide and questioning. You're crying, she whispered. Serena blinked, unaware until now that tears streamed down her face. She wiped them quickly, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I'm okay, sweetheart. Just remembering something important. The girl tilted her head. Am I your family? The words broke her. Serena knelt and pulled Lily into her arms, holding her close. The warmth of the child's heartbeat against her own filled the hollow spaces she'd carried for years. I think... Yes, Serena whispered, her voice breaking. Yes, you are. Lily's tiny arms wrapped around her neck. Then you won't let them take me away? Never, Serena said fiercely, stroking her hair. You're mine now. I'll protect you. Always. Father Matthews placed a gentle hand on Serena's shoulder. There's more in the archives, he said quietly. Letters, perhaps, or legal records. If this child truly bears your name, the world must know how and why. Serena nodded, swallowing hard. We'll find everything. I need to know the truth, for her and for my mother. As the priest moved toward another shelf, retrieving a small wooden chest, the storm outside began to wane. The howling softened into a gentle whisper, and moonlight broke through the stained glass, bathing the room in hues of gold and blue. For a brief moment, peace settled over them. Serena glanced toward the light filtering through a rose-shaped window, her heart aching with a sense of divine timing. This isn't an accident. I was meant to find her. Then, footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, echoing through the church's main hall. Serena turned sharply, instinct surging. The police were supposed to have taken Vanessa away, but these steps were slower, measured. Too calm for an officer. Father Matthews froze mid-motion, eyes narrowing. We're not alone. The footsteps drew closer. Then a voice, deep and cold, echoed through the corridor. Serena Cole. Serena's blood ran cold. That voice, calm, controlled, with a weight of authority. She rose, stepping instinctively in front of Lily. Who's there? A tall figure emerged from the shadows, a man in a dark overcoat, his expression unreadable. His presence filled the space with quiet power. In his hand, he held a briefcase, gloved fingers tightening around the handle. Miss Cole, he said, inclining his head slightly. I'm Agent Ward, Department of Child Welfare. You've taken a child from a legal guardian. I need you to come with me. Lily whimpered, clutching Serena's hand. Please don't let him take me. Serena's spine stiffened. That woman is not her legal guardian. She abandoned her. She confessed. Agent Ward's gaze shifted toward the priest. We're aware of the confession, but there are other complexities to this case. This child's records were sealed under court order 10 years ago. Her existence was... He paused, choosing his words carefully. Classified. Classified? Serena repeated, disbelief coloring her voice. She's a little girl, not a government secret. The agent's eyes hardened. Some adoptions, some disappearances, are buried for a reason. If you have evidence linking her to your family, you'll need to present it formally. Until then, she's under protective custody. Serena's pulse thundered in her ears. Protective custody? From who? But Ward didn't answer. His expression remained cold, practiced. Father Matthews stepped forward, his voice low but firm. "This child is under sanctuary. You cannot remove her without due process." Ward sighed, clearly frustrated. "I don't want trouble, Father, but this matter is bigger than you know." Serena's eyes blazed. "No one is taking her until we uncover the truth. I'll go to court, to the press, to the governor if I have to. She's my blood." The agent studied her for a long moment, the tension coiling thick between them. Then he nodded once. "You have 48 hours, he said quietly. "Find proof, or she comes with us." He turned and disappeared back into the storm, leaving behind a silence heavy with dread. Serena stood frozen, her fists clenched, every nerve in her body alight. 48 hours. That's all she had to uncover the truth about Lily, her mother, and the lies buried in the storm 10 years ago. She looked down at the child who now felt like part of her soul. Lily's eyes, wide and trusting, mirrored her own. "I won't lose you," Serena whispered, determination replacing fear. "Not again." Outside, the last echo of thunder rolled away, and the church bells tolled midnight. A new day was beginning, one that would demand everything Serena had left. Dawn broke cold and gray over the city, its light slicing through the thinning storm like the hesitant first breath after drowning. The church stood silent now, wrapped in a fragile calm, as if the night's violence had been a fever dream. Yet inside, the air was heavy, thick with secrets that refused to stay buried. Serena sat in one of the old pews, Lily asleep beside her, curled beneath a wool blanket Father Matthews had found in the vestry. The child's tiny hand still clutched the edge of Serena's coat, as though she feared even dreams might steal her away. Serena hadn't slept. Her eyes were red from tears and exhaustion, but her mind refused to rest. 48 hours. That's all she had before the government stepped in and tore this fragile miracle apart. She looked toward the altar, where Father Matthews stood leafing through a stack of old papers, candlelight dancing across the lines of worry on his face. "Anything?" Serena asked, her voice rough from the long night. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Not yet. Some records were moved decades ago when the diocese reorganized. Others, sealed by court order, as that agent said. Whoever wanted this child hidden had powerful connections." Serena leaned forward, elbows on her knees, heart pounding with the weight of what she already suspected. "If what you told me is true, if my mother brought her here, it means my family knew. Someone in my own bloodline covered this up." Father Matthews hesitated. "Perhaps to protect her." Serena's jaw tightened. "Or to erase her." The priest met her gaze, steady but sad. "Serena, your family was prominent, powerful, and tragedies like yours often come with untold costs." She didn't need reminding. The Cole legacy was built on both fortune and silence, wealth earned through ruthless ambition, and a reputation guarded by secrets. When the estate burned 10 years ago, she had been barely 20, recovering from a car crash that nearly claimed her life. Her mother's death, the fire, the whispers of scandal, all swept under the rug by lawyers and board members who told her to move on. But now, staring at Lily, this fragile child who bore her name and her eyes, Serena knew moving on had been a lie. The past wasn't gone. It was waiting, buried in ash, demanding to be unearthed. She rose, quietly, and crossed the room to the old records table. "We need more than church documents," she said. "We need medical records, hospital logs from that night." Father Matthews nodded. "Saint Germain Hospital. It was the nearest one still operating after the fire. If your mother went anywhere, it was there." Serena glanced down at Lily, asleep and safe. "Can you stay with her?" The priest nodded again. "Go. Find what you must. She'll be safe here." Serena brushed a hand over Lily's hair, whispering, "I'll be back soon. I promise." Then, drawing her coat tight, she stepped into the pale morning light. The city was waking, slow and subdued beneath a blanket of frost. Serena's car tires crunched over snow-packed streets as she drove, the silence inside thick with the echoes of last night. Her phone buzzed in the console, her assistant, Mark, calling. She hesitated before answering. "Mark." "Serena, where are you? You missed your board meeting. Investors are asking questions." "I have something more important," she said, her tone clipped. "More important than saving the company?" "Yes." Her voice softened, unexpected emotion creeping through. "A little girl's life." Mark paused, clearly thrown. "What's going on? You sound different." Serena almost told him everything, but old instincts held her back. "Just trust me," she said. "And I need a favor. Access St. Germain's archives. 10 years ago, a patient named Amelia Cole, and a child admitted during the same storm, maybe unregistered. Look for sealed files." "Serena, those are restricted. I'll handle the clearance," she cut in. "Just find them." Mark sighed, resigned. "You've got it. But Serena, whatever this is, be careful. You're walking into shadows." "I know," she whispered. "I've been in them my whole life." She ended the call and pressed harder on the gas, heart pounding as the hospital's outline came into view, a tall, weathered building that loomed like a relic from another age. Inside, St. Germain smelled of antiseptic and thyme. The lobby was quiet, the early shift just beginning. Serena approached the records desk, flashing a practiced smile and a sleek black wallet that bore her foundation's crest. "Good morning," she said, her tone warm but firm. "I'm Serena Cole, chair of the Cole Foundation. We're reviewing charitable medical cases from the winter storm of 2015. I need access to the archived files." The receptionist blinked. "Those records are sealed, ma'am. Court order." Serena leaned forward, lowering her voice. "I understand, but this concerns a matter of family, a child's welfare. You can contact legal if necessary, but I'd rather not make this public." The woman hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Basement level, room B7, you'll need a key." Minutes later, Serena descended into the archive. Vault, an underworld of dust and silence. Rows upon rows of cabinets stretched into the dimness. She moved quickly, guided by fading labels, until she found a section marked 2015, Winter Admissions. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the folders. "Cole, Amelia, there." She slid the file free, her breath catching at the sight of her mother's name written in looping script. Inside were admission notes: burn injuries, smoke inhalation, cardiac arrest, pronounced dead at 2:17 a.m. Serena's throat tightened. She turned the page, then froze. A second entry: infant female, approx. Age, newborn, no ID, severe hypothermia, resuscitated at 2:11 a.m., transferred to parish care. She pressed a hand to her mouth, tears flooding her vision. Her mother had saved the child, given her life so Lily could live, and the name scribbled beside the transfer order, barely legible but unmistakable, was her own. Authorization: S. Cole. Serena staggered back, her mind spinning. She had been unconscious that night, barely alive herself. Who had used her name? Who had signed that order? Behind her, a noise, a click, the sound of a door locking. She turned sharply, heart hammering. Shadows shifted at the edge of the corridor. A tall figure stepped into view, face hidden beneath a black cap. "I told you," came the low voice. "Agent Ward. Some things are buried for a reason." Serena's eyes narrowed, fury cutting through her fear. "You knew." Ward stepped closer, his expression unreadable. "You're not supposed to see that file. You're opening doors that could destroy more than just your family name." Serena clutched the folder to her chest. "You're not taking this from me." Ward's tone hardened. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Lightning flashed beyond the narrow window, throwing light across his face. Haunted, conflicted. Serena met his gaze, her voice steady. "Then tell me, who's behind this? Why hide her?" Ward hesitated, then quietly. "Because Lily Grace Cole isn't just your blood. She's an heir to everything your mother tried to protect, and someone very powerful doesn't want her alive to claim it." Thunder rolled above them, shaking the floor. Serena's grip tightened around the file. The truth was no longer just a family secret. It was a war. The basement lights flickered as thunder rumbled overhead, shaking dust loose from the ceiling. Serena stood frozen in the narrow aisle, the hospital folder clutched against her chest like a lifeline. Across from her, Agent Ward's eyes burned with quiet urgency. Not the cold authority she'd seen before, but something heavier. "You need to listen to me," he said, lowering his voice. "You don't know what you've walked into." Serena took a step back, her pulse pounding in her ears. "You've had every chance to tell me the truth, but instead you've lied. You tried to take her." Ward's jaw tightened. "My job was to keep her hidden, not harm her. Orders came from above. I didn't understand why until now." He took another step forward, hands raised to show he wasn't armed. "That child, Lily Grace Cole, was the center of a fight your mother tried to end 10 years ago. Amelia Cole wasn't just a philanthropist. She uncovered something. Fraud, illegal adoptions, trafficking through charity programs. She gathered proof and tried to expose them." Serena's breath caught. "My mother. She never told me." "She couldn't," Ward interrupted. "They threatened your life. The fire that night, it wasn't an accident. It was meant to erase both of you. And the evidence." Serena felt the floor tilt beneath her. A fire meant to kill them. A secret meant to stay buried. "She saved Lily," Ward continued. "Got her out before the blaze reached the nursery. Then brought her here, begged for sanctuary. She used your name to give the child a chance to live free from the Cole Empire, and from the people trying to destroy it." Serena's hand trembled as she opened the folder again. There, in faded ink, was her mother's signature beside the child's name. Authorization, S. Cole. Not a forgery. A desperate act of protection. Tears blurred her vision. She saved her, but not herself. Ward nodded. "Your mother made me promise. If the child ever resurfaced, I'd keep her hidden. But I didn't realize who you were. Not until I saw your face tonight." Lightning flashed again, illuminating the stark terror on his features. "If they know you found the file, they'll come for both of you." Serena's voice hardened. "Then let them. I'm not running." Ward shook his head. "You don't understand. These aren't petty criminals. They're tied to your own board, your family's foundation. Everything your mother built has been poisoned from within. Lily isn't just your blood. She's the legal heir to the trust your mother established. Billions, Serena, enough to make her a target." Serena stared at him, the weight of the revelation pressing against her chest. Her mother's empire, meant for Lily. "She was never meant to be hidden," Serena whispered. "She was meant to be protected." Ward took a cautious step closer. "If you want to save her, we need to move. Now. There's one person who can verify her identity. A doctor from the night of the fire. He disappeared, went off-grid, but I know where he is." Serena's grip tightened around the folder. She wanted to trust him, but every instinct screamed caution. "Why help me now?" Ward's expression softened, guilt flickering behind his eyes. "Because I failed your mother. I won't fail her daughter." A crash echoed down the corridor. Heavy boots on tile, voices barking orders. Ward cursed under his breath. "They're here!" Serena's heart leapt. "Who?" He didn't answer, just grabbed her wrist. "Come on." They bolted down the narrow hallway, their footsteps pounding through the labyrinthine basement. Shouts rose behind them. "Stop them! Seal the exits!" Ward led her through a service door and up a narrow stairwell, the smell of mildew and concrete closing in. Serena's breath came in sharp bursts as they burst into an alley behind the hospital, snow swirling around them like ash. A black SUV screeched around the corner. Tinted windows, no plates. Ward yanked her toward a side street. "This way!" They sprinted through the storm, slipping over ice-slick pavement. Serena's lungs burned, her mind flashing with images, her mother's smile, Lily's eyes, the fire that consumed everything. No more running. Not this time. At the end of the alley, Ward pointed toward a dimly lit parking lot. "My car's there. We'll go north. There's a safe house in the mountains. The doctor's waiting." Serena stopped abruptly, forcing him to turn back. "Not without Lily. She's at the church. I won't leave her." Ward hesitated, glancing toward the flashing lights in the distance. "If they track you, she's in danger." "Then we get her first," Serena said firmly. "Or I'm not going anywhere." He exhaled sharply, then nodded. "Fine. But we need to be fast." They jumped into his car, the engine roaring to life. As they sped through the icy streets, Serena's hands shook around the folder, the only proof of the life her mother died to save. Ward drove in tense silence, his jaw set. "You should know," he said finally, eyes fixed on the road. "The people behind this, they're not just businessmen. They've infiltrated courts, hospitals, adoption agencies. They wanted heirs erased, identities rewritten. Lily's survival exposes them." Serena clenched her fists. "Then we expose them first." The church loomed ahead, its spire rising through the fading mist. The parking lot was empty, blanketed in snow. Serena's heart tightened. Too quiet. She and Ward slipped through the side door, their footsteps echoing softly. "Father Matthews?" Serena called out. No answer. Her stomach twisted. They hurried toward the sanctuary, the pews empty, candles snuffed out. Then, a sound. A faint cry. Serena's head snapped toward the altar. Lily sat huddled on the steps, clutching her doll, tears streaking her cheeks. Serena rushed forward, gathering the girl into her arms. "Sweetheart, I'm here. I'm so sorry." Lily buried her face against Serena's coat. "They came," she whispered. "Men in black coats. Father Matthews told me to hide. They took him." Serena froze, a chill worse than the storm crawling up her spine. Ward cursed softly. "They're moving faster than I thought." Serena looked down at Lily, wiping her tears. "Listen to me, baby. We're leaving. Right now. Somewhere. Safe. Do you trust me?" Lily nodded, eyes wide. "Good," Serena said, rising and clutching her close, "because no one is taking you from me again." As they turned toward the door, a flash of light caught Serena's eye. Something glinting on the altar. She stepped closer, heart racing. A silver locket lay there, half buried in melted wax. She picked it up. Inside, a tiny photograph of Amelia Cole holding a newborn, and beneath it, an engraving. "Faith is the fire that survives the storm." Serena closed it gently, tears filling her eyes. "Thank you, Mother," she whispered. Ward's voice broke the moment. "We have to move." Serena nodded, clutching Lily and the file. As they stepped into the morning light, snow still falling softly, she felt a strange strength rise in her chest, a resolve she hadn't known she possessed. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about redemption. And she would burn every lie to the ground before letting history repeat itself. The mountain road twisted through a forest of white silence, snow drifting in soft spirals under the pale dawn. Serena's fingers gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, eyes fixed on the endless stretch ahead. Lily sat in the back seat, clutching her doll tight against her chest, while Agent Ward scanned the rearview mirror every few seconds. No one spoke. The car was filled with the hum of the engine and the weight of everything unsaid. Betrayal. Truth. The fragile hope that they might reach safety before the shadows caught up. Ward finally broke the silence. "We're close. The safe house is built into the ridge. It's old, off-grid. No cell signals, no tracking." Serena nodded, her gaze steady. "And the doctor?" "He'll be there," Ward replied. "He vanished after the fire, changed his name, went underground. But he's the only one who can confirm what your mother did that night." Serena's voice was quiet, but resolute. "She gave everything to protect Lily. I won't let her sacrifice be in vain." Ward glanced at her. "You remind me of her. The way you stand, the way you fight. Amelia believed in miracles, but she believed more in willpower." Serena's throat tightened. "I stopped believing in miracles the night she died. Until Lily." Ward gave a small, understanding nod. "Then maybe that's your miracle." Behind them, headlights flared through the trees, distant, but closing fast. Ward's voice dropped. "They found us." Serena's heart lurched. "How?" "Doesn't matter now. Drive." She pressed harder on the gas, the tires skidding over the icy road as the car surged forward. The engine roared, the forest whipping past in a blur. The pursuing vehicle gained ground, its beams slicing through the snow like predator eyes. A shot rang out, shattering the silence. Glass exploded from the rear window. Lily screamed. "Down!" Serena shouted, swerving sharply around a curve. "Ward!" Ward reached into his jacket, drawing his sidearm. "Keep driving!" he barked, rolling down the cracked window and returning fire. Muzzle flashes lit the trees, echoing like thunder. The chase tore through the mountain pass, snow spraying, tires screaming. Ahead, the road forked. One path led toward a narrow bridge, the other veered into dense forest. Ward pointed. "Take the bridge." Serena hesitated. The bridge looked ancient, covered in frost, barely wide enough for one car. But there was no choice. She turned the wheel hard, the car skidding onto the wooden planks. The boards groaned under their weight. The black SUV followed, too close, too fast. Ward fired again, hitting the SUV's grille. Smoke billowed. "Almost there!" But halfway across, a crack split the air. The bridge shuddered violently. "Serena!" Ward yelled. "Floor it!" She slammed the pedal. The tires spun, then caught, the car leaping forward just as the rear section gave way. The SUV plunged into the ravine below, swallowed by a storm of shattered wood and snow. Silence followed. Heavy, disbelieving. Serena's breath came in ragged gasps. Lily sobbed softly in the back seat. Ward lowered his weapon, exhaling a long, shaking breath. That was close. Serena looked at him, eyes burning. "We're not safe yet," he nodded. "No, but we're almost there." The safe house sat tucked beneath a ridge, hidden by pines and drifts of snow. A weathered cabin with smoke curling faintly from the chimney. Inside, warmth greeted them. The crackle of a fire, the scent of old wood and cedar. A man stood near the hearth, silver-haired, his face lined with years of silence. His eyes widened when he saw Serena. "You're Amelia's daughter," he said softly. Serena nodded. "You were there, that night." He approached slowly, as though seeing a ghost. "She saved the child, gave her own life to keep her breathing. I remember her last words. Promise me she won't be lost in the dark." Serena's voice trembled. "You signed the report?" "Yes," he said. "I buried the truth. Changed names? Hid her under the church's care." He looked toward Lily. She was so small, barely alive. But Amelia wouldn't leave her, even as the fire took everything. Serena knelt beside Lily, who peered up at the old man. "This is the doctor who helped you, sweetheart," she whispered. Lily reached out, tiny fingers brushing his hand. "You were there, when she saved me?" He nodded, tears glistening. "Yes, child, you are alive because of love." Ward stepped forward, laying a file on the table. We have enough to expose them. Medical records, court documents, Amelia's final testimony. But once this goes public, there's no turning back. Serena rose slowly. Her hands shook, but her voice was steel. They burned our home. They buried the truth. They tried to erase a child's life for profit. No more silence. Ward's gaze softened. You could lose everything. Serena looked at Lily. Her small, fragile miracle. I already lost everything once. This time, I'm fighting for something worth keeping. The doctor nodded, pulling a small locket from his pocket. The twin of the one Serena had found at the church. She asked me to give this to her daughter, when the time was right. Serena opened it. Inside was a note, written in her mother's hand. Love is the light that cannot be burned. When you find her, you will find yourself. Tears spilled freely now, but they were not tears of despair. They were cleansing, transforming. Serena sank to her knees beside Lily. You're my family, she whispered. My mother's gift. And I will never let the world hurt you again. Lily threw her arms around her, sobbing softly. I knew you'd come. Serena smiled through the tears. And I'll never leave. Outside, the wind howled one last time, and then softened, as if bowing to the dawn. Weeks later, headlines filled the world. Coal Foundation scandal exposed. Billionaire heiress reveals human trafficking ring. Secret heir identified. Lily Grace. Coal rescued from abuse, returns home. Serena stood on the steps of the courthouse, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. But her focus was only on the small hand in hers. Lily looked up at her, eyes bright. Are we really free now? Serena smiled. Yes, baby, we are. Behind them, Ward stood at a distance, watching with quiet pride. When Serena caught his gaze, he nodded once, a promise kept, a circle closed. As snow began to fall again, Serena knelt beside Lily, wrapping her in her arms. You see those flakes? She whispered. Each one is a promise, cold for a moment, but gone when the sun finds it. Just like pain. Just like fear. Lily smiled, nestling closer. And we have the sun now. Serena nodded, tears glinting like frost in the light. Yes, sweetheart, we do. Together they turned toward the horizon, not to run, but to walk forward. Not to forget, but to build anew. Because healing wasn't about erasing the past. It was about writing the future, hand in hand, heart to heart.